As a React developer, you can probably get by for quite a while without having to understand what the virtual DOM is, and that's because of how simple React is to get started with. At some point in your career, however, you will need to be able to articulate what it is and why it's needed. Because as a fundamental concept of React, it ends up being a very common interview question. But interviews aside, it's not something that is specific to only React. Other popular libraries such as Vue.js make use of it as well. So it's a valuable thing to understand in general. Now, to understand what the virtual DOM is, you first need to understand what the DOM is. DOM, as in DOM, is an acronym that stands for Document Object Model, and it's exactly what it says. It's an object-based representation of a HTML document that the browser uses as a model of how the document should be rendered. Basically, any HTML that you write is internally converted into an object-based tree structure by the browser. The browser then renders the document to the screen from that tree structure and watches it for subsequent changes so that it can re-render whenever it changes. This internal tree structure that it creates is the DOM, the Document Object Model. Now, by representing the HTML document as an object, we gain the ability to programmatically manipulate it using regular JavaScript, because JavaScript understands and can work easily with objects. Take the following HTML as an example. This document will be represented internally by a DOM tree that looks something like the following. So if we wanted to change the button label when the button is clicked, for instance, we would be able to do so with plain old JavaScript using the DOM API like this. And because the browser is using the DOM as a view model, so to speak, meaning that it is constantly watching the DOM for changes and then re-rendering whenever it changes, any changes that we programmatically make to the DOM structure will be reflected on the screen in real time. So that's the DOM in a nutshell. Now, what is the virtual DOM? The virtual DOM is a lightweight representation of the real DOM that React maintains in order to facilitate more efficient DOM manipulation. You see, as I stated earlier, whenever the DOM is changed in any way, the browser will re-render the screen to match the new structure of the DOM. The problem, however, is that a lot of work goes into rendering the UI from the DOM. Layouts have to be recalculated, styles have to be reapplied, and everything that has been affected has to be repainted to the screen. These are quite costly operations that can make the UI appear sluggish if many changes are happening in succession. Because of this, we want to be as efficient as we can with regards to the way that we are manipulating the DOM, so as to not cause unnecessary re-renders. For instance, if we have a list of 1,000 items being displayed on the screen and only one item in the list changes, we don't want to re-render the entire list, as that would be quite slow. Instead, we only want to re-render the one item in the list that has changed. This is essentially the problem that the virtual DOM is meant to solve. Because the virtual DOM is not attached to the rendering engine in any way, it can be changed any amount of times without triggering a re-render. As such, it becomes an inexpensive way to collect changes and to build efficient update strategies around. Now, this is how it all works. At any given point in time, there would be a virtual DOM tree in memory that represents the current state of the real DOM. Then when the user interacts with the app in a manner that results in the document state changing, React will then create a new virtual DOM tree that reflects the new state of the document, and it does this instead of updating the real DOM directly. So no re-render is triggered, and that's the point. By collecting changes into the virtual DOM instead of applying them directly to the real DOM, React can be strategic about how and when the real DOM is updated and the screen re-rendered. Now, when React is satisfied that it has collected all the relevant changes into the new virtual DOM tree for that particular render cycle, it will then compare the new virtual DOM tree to the previous virtual DOM snapshot in order to figure out what exactly has changed. And once it has figured that out, it will then apply only those changes to the real DOM, and it's at this point that a re-render will be triggered by reason of the real DOM being updated. This is how React ensures that re-renders are triggered in the most efficient way possible. Not only does doing things this way ensure that only the things that have changed are re-rendered, but it also allows for multiple successive changes to be treated as one change, so to speak, due to the ability to now batch these changes together. Now, this entire process is called reconciliation, and it's all handled by the React DOM library. I'll put some links in the description so that you can read more about it if you want to. So in summary, the virtual DOM is just a lightweight representation of the real DOM that React maintains in order to facilitate more efficient DOM manipulation. It exists to solve the problem of DOM updates being operations that can trigger costly re-renders that can make the UI feel laggy if too many re-renders are happening at a time. The premise here is that because the virtual DOM is not connected to the browser rendering cycle in any way, it can be manipulated anyhow and any amount of times without a re-render being triggered. The way it all works is that React will collect all changes into a new virtual DOM tree using various strategies such as batching. Then it will compare the new virtual DOM tree with the previous virtual DOM snapshot in order to figure out what has changed. Then afterwards, it will apply only those changes to the real DOM. This is how React is able to control how and when a re-render is triggered. So there you have it. This is the virtual DOM in a nutshell. I hope this has all made sense to you, and if it hasn't, please do let me know in the comments and I'll do my best to address any issues raised. And finally, make sure to subscribe and click the notification bell to be notified when I upload my next video. Ifani here with Coding with Iffy, and it has been a pleasure. Until next time.